Okay, guys, talk to you a little bit about the offensive lineman 3-point stance, 2-point stance. So I'll show you guys a couple videos on how to get into some of these stances. So first things first, we always want to have our head and eyes up. Our offhand, as you see here, is not going to be resting on the knee. His shoulders aren't too bad, but we'd like to see his shoulders just a little bit flatter. But we don't want to have that arm resting on the knee. We want to have it off or cocked to the side so it's ready to strike. We're not what we call a lazy position, but by no means would we say this is. His down hand is going to have light pressure, so he's able to move any direction. All right, we don't want to be able to have a heavy hand, so we can only move forward or we're falling forward. We don't want to have too light a pressure to where we're only moving backwards. We want to have really, really light pressure so we can move any direction we want to move. Feet should be staggered. The outside foot's back, so he's a right tackle in this picture. So his right foot would be back. Generally, we say toe to instep alignment. That means his outside toe would be to the instep, the inside of his inside foot. Bigger men, like old Tyron Smith here, he's probably going to have a little bit bigger stagger. That's fine, right? As long as his knees are inside of his feet and the weight are on his insteps like he has here, so his knee is inside his foot and his cleats are in the ground, we're not going to be as worried about the stagger that he does have. So all of his cleats should be in the ground, even his back cleats. He should have some good ankle flexibility. You should never be up on your toes in a stance. You see a nice flat foot here. You see a fairly flat foot here as well. You could probably tell that his heel would not be very far off the ground, if at all, in his 3-point stance. Those are all things we want to see. 2-point stance is going to be very, very similar. Head and eyes up. The reason we get into 2-point stances for the most part is so we can see twists, we can see stunts, we can see different blitzes that are happening. It gives us a little bit better vision for third down and passing situations. Some programs like to use 2-point stances all the time. Do whatever your coach tells you to do. Hands again should be off your knees, should be in a position to move quickly to your strike position. So I want to be able to take my hands when the ball is snapped or our cadence goes off, whatever it might be, or you guys clap your hands. I need to be able to pull those hands back towards my sternum in order to get into my pass pro posture. So I don't want to have a lazy stance, where it's sitting on a knee and I got to kind of kick start my hands or I got to push off my knee. I want to be in a good tense position to be able to get that done. Feet again are going to be staggered. Your outside foot is going to be back. This would probably be now more of a toe to heel alignment or greater, depending on the defensive end or the outside linebacker's ability in a 3-4. The further you can get that foot back, the more that's going to help you against a better athlete. So also it kind of depend on your ankle flexibility as well, how far you get that foot back. Again, we never want to be up on that toe. Knees again should be inside your feet, weight are on the insteps. And we'd like to have as many cleats in the ground as we can, right? Weight is on those insteps because those are the directions we're going to have to be able to push. When my knee is inside my foot and my weight's on my instep, I can change and redirect both directions. So if I have to drive that post foot back down inside, or I need to make sure I'm getting my kick back there to intersect the D-liner, the outside linebacker's rush point, all right, I want to be able to do that with a minimal amount of false steps. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of these. So when we were at Tulsa, we did a video and we put some of this stuff online, so you'll see some of this. This is what we call our stagger. All right, that would be your toe to instep alignment. Again, my feet, didn't really talk much about the width, but we always kind of said split your armpits with your feet. Where it's going to be a little bit more dependent upon how big or how wide of a guy you are. All right, so this would be your stagger again, seeing toe to instep. You see he steps a little bit forward, but that's not too bad. Coach Johnson always didn't want those guys to be in a very duck-footed environment. He kind of wanted them to be able to look like an athlete. So their toes might be slightly out, but for the most part, they're gonna try to keep it relatively straight. Here you see the light hand pressure with his outside hand. He's a left tackle, so his left foot would be back. His knee is going to be inside his foot. Knee is inside his foot, and you'll see he also has cleats in the ground. All right, his offhand is not resting on his knee. You saw him kind of move it off to the side. this is good. It's going to be in a position for him to either strike or pull it back when he gets to posture. So this is a really good look at a stance. Last thing, head and eyes are up. Nice level, flat back, level shoulders. We'll get a couple of different views here of the stance. So here's him just kind of come up to the line, getting into a quick stance. It's a really good look at it. Being able to see it from behind, same thing, gets his stagger, feet apart, split the pits. His heels, just ever so slightly off the ground, but he's going to have all his cleats in the ground. Knee is inside that toe. Same thing here from the side. This would be more of your 2-point stance. So again, we see his head and eyes up. We got a nice flat back. You see these bend in all of these different joints. Bend in the hips, bend in the knees, bend in the ankles. He's got a little bit bigger stagger, so his heel's going to be a little bit further off the ground. But again, weights on that instep. You can see where his knee would be inside of his foot, and he's going to be able to kick out wide or jam down inside quickly. Okay, hands are not resting on the knees, right? He maybe have a forearm down on it, that's fine, but he doesn't want to have that hand lazily on his knee. He doesn't put it way up here by his hip. It's just nice and rested right along his thigh here, so he can pull his hands back to posture. Really, really simple. You'll get one more look at it here. This would be with, really, really wide stagger. So now we've got 3rd and long. We're seeing an overload blitz coming to the left side. So this is a way for him to be able to get, set really, really wide for that widest guy in the rush. Where they're bringing some sort of zone America or overload concept, or he sees the corner coming. So you'd see his eyes being outside, but nothing really changes. He's just moving that foot a little bit further back so he can get back there a little bit faster. So widening that stagger when I know I'm going to have to go against a speed rusher, an outside linebacker, a defensive back. All right, that'd be all you guys need to know for the stances.